What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you're having a good day so far. So today's video is going to be getting some more work done. So like I mentioned in the last video, if you guys watched that vlog, I think it was a good one. It was just hanging out, having some fun. I had mentioned that it's been obviously pretty slow for me lately, and it's just been stressing me out, kind of bringing me down. Haven't been wanting to film videos, just kind of been stuck in my own head type thing. So one of my buddies, Efren, he's a really nice dude. I go to the canyons with him a lot, see him at car meets and stuff. He has this Acura RSX Type S, so he hit me up one day when we were talking. He's like, yeah, I mean, if you're interested in making the DC5 bars, I mean, just use my car whenever. It's not my daily driver. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. And he hit me up, I don't know, yesterday, and he decided to come drop the car by, so that's what we got working with us today. And he also has a little part for his transmission. He asked if I could swap out the kind of like the shift selector, I think one of the little gear things that is like where the shift selector mechanism drops into the transmission. His is like sheared, so he's got a bunch of shifter slop. But yeah, so let's turn you around and kind of look at this thing real quick. So this thing is a little bit dirty, and in his defense, my cars are filthy right now because we just had some rain the other night after a really nasty dust storm, so it was just straight mud rain. But yeah, so this is his DC5, this is his RSX Type S, and he is not very kind to this thing. It looks pretty nice, the body's in great shape. It's got lots of aftermarket upgrades, wheels, brakes, suspension, bushings, this, that, the other. But he does not take this car to be too kind. He beats the snot out of this thing, and it takes it. And this is a testament to these RSXs. Like, I think they're pretty awesome. And obviously, being the Type S, I have the same Type S motor in my car. So I don't know what year this is though, but it's a very sweet car. He has a good taste in mods and stuff. He does a lot of the Canyon stuff that I do. Yeah, he just has fun with it. So right off the bat, you can see it's got like the RPF ones. He's actually got some brand new Falcon. Which tires are these? RT660s? Yeah, RT660s. So these tires are stupid sticky from what I've heard. So Doge runs these, and then Ramon was also running these before his S2000 got totaled out. So these are something that I might have to look into for this if they have them in my size, because I have 16s on that. But yeah, his car is very, very cool, and it is very, very locked. You can tell he's into the anime titty thing. So let's take a look in here. Okay, I guess we won't take a look in there, so we'll, there we go. I think these are what, Dev Sport side skirts? Not too sure. I think that's what they are. But yeah, very simple and clean. Oh, I didn't even know these seats were stock, I think. I don't know. It's got a little Type S badge up there. These look relatively stock. Yeah, dope little car though. I would definitely enjoy driving one of these things. I like that he's got the A-pillars. What is this, hydro dip? That looks hydro dip because that doesn't feel like a fabric, like a wrap or anything. Dope little car. I love this center console thing. Like this whole thing right here, pretty darn cool to me. Looks like he's got the hybrid racing shifter in here as well. Thing feels very, very tight. But yeah, so I mean, you guys get the gist of it. He's got lots of stuff done to the car. It's a good, fun car, and I'm just gonna move it. I need one of those. I think that's a radar detector. Oh, clutch is actually kind of heavy, goodness. Sounds pretty good. That thing, that would definitely get annoying. I'm sure it saves him a lot of money in tickets, but it gets annoying. But yeah, so let me move this thing over. Goodness gracious. Never driven an RSX before, I don't think, but I don't know if it's all of them. I'm assuming they're all going to be similar, but the clutch on that thing grabs like a quarter of an inch off the floor. That was kind of weird, but basically I'm going to just get to work on this right away. So I'm going to start with prototyping the front bumper bar. He's not in a hurry, but I just kind of like to get stuff done, and obviously that means once I get this thing finalized, I have to have my plates drawn up and then cut and stuff. So yeah, I think he said that the front bumper comes off really similar to the S2000. So in this case, there's going to be a few 10mm bolts here, and then like some clips over here, and then like a bolt that goes upward towards the fender. So should be pretty simple. Let's get this thing off, eh? Okay, I would just like to know when the mosquitoes are gonna leave, because it's like 70 degrees out and they're still out here eating me alive, and I kind of want to kill them all, make them all burn. But thankfully, this thing looks like it's gonna be pretty darn simple to make. That's good. So there was a little bit of controversy in the comments on one of my other videos with the EG bumper bar, how I didn't want to add the headlight supports because I didn't want to copy the other design on the market. So this one, thankfully, I don't have to do that because this has a separate bracket. So the bumper bar on this thing is going to be very, very simple. It looks like I just got to recreate the slight bend that's in here as is. So I'm going to go ahead. I got to figure out how to pull this thing off, actually. I don't even see the bolt holes for it. But yeah, I'll get this thing pulled off and we'll start getting measurements and stuff. And it looks like, like I said, it's going to be pretty simple, which I'm very thankful for, which also means that these ones can stay cheap as well, just like the EG bars. So forgive the shadow here, but it looks like it actually has 2 bolts up top here and 1 bolt on the bottom, and like the whole piece kind of bites the frame rail like that. This one's going to be pretty simple to make, so I'm just going to measure from basically across edge to edge. I'm going to go by this outside piece right here, and then I am going to include the dimensions for the foam, just so I can make the replacement piece to go more forward into the bumper, just so it's more close to the impact zone or whatever, if somebody actually ends up using it like that, like boom, boom. So that way, yeah, obviously it's just going to be stronger like that. So basically what I can do is just take the tape measure, like I said, measure across there, and then my depth. So I'm gonna go pretty much across, and then the amount that I want it to stick out, because this looks like I can get away with just doing a single bend. Probably looks like it's gonna be the easiest way. I mean, maybe 3 bends, but ideally, really it looks like it's just 1 single bend is gonna be able to do it. Because start from, zoom you out, start from over there, boom, and then 1 bend right there, and then just boom. Should be pretty simple. So now that I've got the easy part of the way, I'm just going to go ahead and take these little dimensions that I took and put them into my program. I use Bendtech 2-dimensional. Eventually I'll upgrade to the 3-dimensional and be able to do a hell of a lot more stuff, but the 2D works perfect for stuff like this. So I just input my measurements, depending on how many bends you're doing. Obviously you got more measurements. So it will give me my cut length and my bend angle and my bend point. So that's going to be very helpful in this case. Like some people can just do it all by eye and math and stuff. This just takes out a lot of that work. So very, very helpful program. But basically the hardest part of doing this whole thing is to be making those mounting points. It's kind of like that C-shaped thing, how it like bites around the frame rail. Should be pretty simple, but nonetheless it's going to be the trickier part of this, I think, because after I have the main bar bent and I have the mounting legs or I'm sorry, the mounting points made, all I do is attach some rods, and then I can just tack them in place. Then I can break those off and make each support one at a time. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. It's a little time consuming to do stuff like this when you're prototyping, but when it comes to a bar design like this, pretty simple. Yeah, I don't know. You get what I'm saying. Got our cut and bend dimensions, so let's go cut one up. So that's what we're looking like. I'm a little hit or miss on it, so I think what I kind of want to do is I want to roll with the single bend design there, but I think I kind of want to take a piece of metal or another tube and maybe even do a slight bend here, or just try and get a longer one straight across and just notch it accordingly and then gusset over that. I just, you know, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna go to the drawing board for a minute, think this over and see what I want to do, because I know this is gonna be pretty nice as is. It's gonna be fine. It's obviously gonna be hidden behind the bumper, but I also want it to be strong. And obviously triangulation is gonna be the strongest. So if I add another bar behind here, even with just like one bend in there somehow, I think that'll work. I also want something that I can notch quickly and easily with my tubing notcher. So going straight across there probably won't be too easy to notch, because that's going to be a very high angle of a notch, which my tube notcher can only do up to about a 50-degree cut. And I don't want to have to notch each and every one by hand, because for production's sake, that's not fast. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to stare at it for a few minutes and see if I can come up with anything at all. Otherwise, this design, this main bar, I think I'm pretty stoked on, because it comes right to the point exactly where I need it, and then the supports on it should be pretty simple. So I don't know, I might revise it. Like I said, I'm gonna think on it for a minute. All right, so after thinking about it for a minute and looking at it, I don't think I'm gonna add anything behind that bend, because I totally forgot that a lot of the dudes that run these things are running them to make space for like intercoolers, and obviously if I add a second bar back there and put a gusset on it, that's gonna take up all the room that I was opening up. So we're not going to do anything like that. And structurally, this is a very stout bar. I've had two people this week actually message me that have DAs. One guy got in a rear end collision, and his bumper bar, the base plates where it mounts to the chassis got a little mangled from how it tied it, or from like where the bolts were. But it didn't damage the main bar itself at all. It didn't collapse inward or anything. Like, that's stout. And then my front bar, some dude took out a deer and his bar and bumper was unscathed. It just took out his headlight. So structurally, I know this material, this tube that I use is thick enough and strong enough, so I should be fine there. So now I suppose all I can do is try and figure out how to get these mounting plates. I'm gonna just bend up some 11 gauge and then try and mark out the holes. And marking the holes is always the hardest part for me. So once I get this figured out, I will show you guys. We can get those things hopefully made up if I have any metal here to do so, and then bolt them down. And then all I have to do is try and find a way to, you know, get the main tube on there so then I can support it, and then tack weld some supports to it like I said before, so then I can make the actual support tubes for it. What I got for the base plate here, this is gonna have to be mirrored because it has to be notched on the bottom, because the bottom portion, as you can see here, is thinner. So this is going to be for this side. I did make it a little too long. My measurements were a little bit off. So you can see I got this gap here, and that line is basically just showing me where I need to cut and then basically just move the piece up. So that's not a problem at all. Yeah, obviously, again, prototype. I just don't want to go and waste this bit of material when it works just fine for me to cut and re-weld it. So I'm going to go ahead. I marked the holes by basically just setting it in there like that, and then setting it on there on the top side as well, kind of getting two measurements. And it looks to be like the holes are pretty much in the same spot. So I'm going to go ahead and do these top ones, so I can drill from the top, I should say, and then test fit it on there and see how that lines up. If it lines up pretty good, then we're on the right track. So I kind of messed that one up a little bit. The holes are in the right spot, but I did it mirrored. So what was supposed to be for that side, I ended up chopping the bottom off because the holes were then drilled for this side, passenger side. So that's simple enough. That works. I can basically just kind of cap the bottom now, weld something on if I need to. But yeah, we're making progress. So we're running out of daylight pretty darn quick here. Basically got the mounting points finished up. I had to weld on little things to wrap around the bottom because my measurements, like I said earlier, were off. So you can see that there. Yeah, those are basically good to go. Now whenever I go to have those drawn up, I'll just have to account for that. So shouldn't be too hard now. Obviously I'm gonna wrap it up for the day, but I'll come back out here tomorrow and I'll try and get this bar mounted up and go from there. So this seems to be in a pretty good spot, obviously using jack stands to hold the bar up. It's really tricky on the eyes because I want to think that this is the center point, but it's actually not. Center is actually a little bit over. So what I was doing there with that is I was kind of eyeballing it, holding it over its mounting points, and trying to get the center of the bar to the center of, obviously, that foam piece, and I kind of scooted it back a little bit. So it looks to be about even, back about a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch on each end of the headlight bracket there. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna grab some little steel rod to be able to tack over there and tack over there to hold the bar in place. Obviously I can always make adjustments from there, but this should be a good starting point. Well, the bumper cover fits pretty darn well. Looking inside the wheel well, I mean, you guys won't be able to see it because of the shadow. The bar is very, very close, if not basically kind of touching right here, which is fine. It's just that if it ever gets used, obviously it's probably going to puncture the bumper, but the bumper is latched or whatever, doesn't have the bolt in it yet, or in his case a zip tie. But the holes line up. This cover is a little tweaked, but that hole lines up fine, that hole lines up fine. And this side is also latched in there. I don't know why that looks like the fender's kind of pulled in a little bit, but so yeah, it fits. It's definitely very tight into the cover here. Obviously it has a little bit more leeway to go up, and once I feel like the bumper's kind of sagging a little bit without its bolts in the side, so when you lift it up just barely, just like that, it comes right off the bumper bar itself. So I think the only difference only change I'll make, because I think I can probably suck the bar in closer to the car, literally an 1/8 inch. So I'll just make a note of that, but I think this is gonna work just fine. This last part's gonna be pretty easy. As you can see, we got a straight shot in front of the bar, so we don't have to do any funky angles. And I already know that this is a 29-degree bend, so I'm gonna just throw a small piece of tube in the tube notcher, notch it at 29 degrees, and just cut it to length here. Tuck it in there, weld it closed, and then mimic it the exact same dimension for that side. That's gonna work, so that way it's, you know, the same length. And yeah, it'll be fine. Then I can at least tack it all together and call this bumper bar good. There we go, got our pieces notched out and cut up. So I'm gonna go ahead, and these things do fit. I am gonna trim them up just a hair more to try and suck them in, but basically all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna end up cutting these off. I'll tack this one in place because this one I can get easier access to. So tack that in place to hold the bar, obviously. Cut the welds off of this and then weld that up. And then this side I can just do the same thing. And once it's all welded, that's that. Well, there you go, bar's all finished up, so now all that would be left is kind of fixture it up. But before I can fixture it, I have to get new mounting plates made, so that's gonna have to be for something else. Obviously I have to do that on my own time, but basically I'm gonna probably make one more mounting plate, or maybe even one more set, probably just one more, and then have a better template to take to the laser shop. Bar looks good on the car, all welded up. And on that note, guys, I'm going to end this video off here. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed hanging out with me as I build and prototype this DC5 bumper bar. So before anybody else comments, I do already have potential interest in a Japanese front end version of the bar. Like, I don't know exactly what all that entails, but it sounds like it has to be sucked back a little bit. So if that is something that you DC5 guys would be interested in, let me know. And if you guys or anybody is local that has one, like a JDM bumper or a bumper bar that I could try and dimension it off of, because this one, obviously, as you guys saw, I made it to the factory unit with the foam on it, so I'm assuming it would have to be more or less without the foam. I'm not too sure. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video though, please be sure to slap that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you want to help support the channel, I do have merch in the Big Cartel. I do have some DA bumper bars in stock, front and rear, harness bars, and EG/Del Sol front bumper bars as well. Anyways guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Do what you love, think about the rest, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.